I know. I can explain. I can explain. I can explain. I know I was supposed to make the 3DS video and post that first. I know I said that I would post that next after my last video, but there's a reason why I'm making this decision. The reason why I've decided to just post this video instead of the 3DS video next is because there's just a lot of stuff that's happened that I want to give my 2 cents on. That has been just I've just been itching to, like, state my opinions on, um because of, apparently there was like more creators that were coming out and like saying things, and more updates and stuff like that. And I just thought it wouldn't make sense for me to post my 3DS video and then go back to posting this and then go and post this video. I want to get the my opinions on the whole EA situation out of the way, like, completely, and then I can focus on back on the 3DS video. I know. I'm giving myself more side quests, but I promise this time, after this video, I promise after this one I will post 3DS video. I promise. But yeah, as you can see, we're back to scuff mode because I can't be bothered to go into detail with editing right now. So yeah, we're going back into scuff mode. Yeah. The last time I went into scuffed mode, like as I mentioned in the previous video, where I, like that quick intervention the last time, people were just being mean and rude. When it comes to me talking about things I'm passionate about, I like to info dump on things and everything. I like to be very, like, detailed, even with my normal edits, like, videos end up being like an hour in length, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea to be watching videos that are like an hour long. And if it's not your cup of tea, you can simply just not watch the video instead of just being rude in the comment section. Like, there's no point in putting a comment if it's not vibing with you. I mean, yes, I welcome constructive criticism and everything, but you don't gotta be an ass about it, honestly. And like I already said in the previous video about my mic, yes, my mic is not the best, but I can't afford a new one right now. I can't afford a new one. So yeah, when I get a better mic, I'll buy a better mic. Simply telling me that I need to get a better mic doesn't really help me get a better mic. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee. I have linked it in one of my videos. I don't like to link my Buy Me a Coffee page when I'm talking about, like, serious situations like this. It doesn't really, it gives me the ick, so I don't like putting it on there. Like, I know that most people would put their Ko-Fi or their Patreon, or say that regardless in their videos and stuff like that, so that they let people know that, they do have it and stuff like that. But me, like, I like putting my Buy Me a Coffee stuff or my Etsy, but I don't really use Etsy anymore. Like, stuff like that, my shops and everything. I like putting links to that on videos that are more lighthearted and fun and everything, not when I'm talking about serious situations going on within the communities that I'm in. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to donate if you don't want to. I'm not expecting anybody to do, but like, if you um want to support the channel, you can. It will help me buy more equipment, better equipment, and also to help me with living expenses. But it's not a requirement. You're not obligated to donate. It's an option. But yeah, yeah, this is going to be Scott videos. There's been like a couple videos coming out, new videos from creators that are coming out, and then new news that came out like a couple days, like, maybe was it a day or two ago? Um, yeah. So I'm going to be talking about this and then stating addressing some stuff that I said in the previous video in regards to like my opinions on some of the creators and stuff like that. Obligatory, please don't attack, harass, or witch out everybody that I mentioned in this video. Please don't send hate mobs. Please don't be, you know, assholes. Like, I don't condone that at all. But yeah, I'll just get straight on into the video. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about first is the SatchOnSims video that was posted that is now deleted. I didn't get a chance to watch it because Satch deleted it before I got a chance to like take a look at it. I realized that Satch posted like a very problematic video from one of Malcolm's videos. It was one of his recent videos about it was, let me look at the name for it. Yeah, the video title was The Sims Influencer Crash Out is Wild. I'll hold on. This is incredibly scuffed. This is scuffed as heck. Is this one? Is this video right here? Is this one? Is this one? It was this video. So yeah, it was that video where I saw the clips from Satch's deleted video, and listening from those clips alone, it was problematic and everything. And I believe that 𝗃𝗄𝗄𝗆, like, he didn't mention Satch directly in his video, but we all knew who he was talking about when he dropped the comments that Satch made. And I'm just disappointed in, you know, in the way Satch decided to handle the situation, you know, because I don't believe I was ever following Satch. I watched a couple of his videos, but I found them pretty entertaining, and I really appreciated the fact that he was, you know, criticizing EA and, you know, pointing out all the bugs and the issues within the packs and everything. But to hear this take from him, it was pretty concerning. So I'm going to bring up the clips from Not Malcolm's video that I wanted to touch up on. Oh yeah, so this is one of the first clips from Not Malcolm's video that I cut out that I wanted to touch upon. Like, Malcolm already responds to this video, to these clips in his video, but I want to give my own opinion myself in regards to these clips. I mean, the last clip that I have also, like, I included like Malcolm's opinion because I really think it's like important. I kind of agree with that opinion, but I'm going to play this first clip and I'm going to like respond to it.
There is this whole movement in the Sims community of, we need to boycott the Sims right now, and every Sims YouTuber needs to quit their channel right now. And I'm seeing like all this crazy stuff going on. There is no such thing as ethical consumption. Are you watching this video on a phone right now? Some child in a third world country probably in a mine explosion so that they could mine something to build the phone that you're watching me on right now. Congratulations, you child.
And yeah, that's the first clip that that I that I saw from his video, from Not Malcolm's video, and I call bullshit on that. I call bullshit on that. You know why? Because to like equate this situation to like using the phone example doesn't work, because with like a phone, right? And Satch also goes on to list like other things within this. Actually, I think I'll just play the clip. I'll just play the clip.
You don't feel guilty for using technology, just like you don't feel guilty for heating your home using a car. You don't feel guilty about using makeup, animal products, beauty. You don't.
Yeah, like it's stupid because, you know, the products that he lists is like, except for the makeup, we all don't necessarily need to use makeup, but like for the rest of the things he lists, like, they're necessities. they're things that we need. Yes, the things that we are buying, yes, you know, some of them are, you know, some of the things that are made involve like animal cruelty, like, you know, child labor and stuff like that, unethical mining, you know, all this bad stuff. But number one, some of us kind of don't have a choice, you know. We have to put gas in our cars in order to go to work, in order to go to school, in order to like travel. We can't, like, yes, some people might use other traveling methods, but like even then, like with, you know, riding your bike, you had to buy your bike, you know, it might have been made with some questionable methods, you know, like the parts, and then, you know, going on, you know, taking the public transportation, that's still using gas. But like the thing is, it's kind of a necessity. We have to get around, like, especially in America, we do not have a lot of places where we're able to just walk to the grocery store or walk to school or walk to, you know, the mall. Like I know in places like in Italy, like their cities are walkable, you know, and I know that in some places in the US, like you have, if you live in the right place, you know, everything is within walking distance, right? But that's not always the case everywhere. Like some of these things that you listed, we kind of have no choice but to buy these things or to use these things, because if we don't use these things, like what else are we gonna do? Like we have to use a car to drive. We have to buy some of these, like, you know, food products in order to survive. We have to use certain technology because society kind of forces us to use technology, like our computers, our phones, our tablets, things like that. So most of these things are kind of like a necessity. We kind of have no choice. But the other thing is, you know, that there's like the secondhand market for like a couple of these things, and also that some people search for alternatives to using some of these products, like for the phone. Like, what if you went on Mercari or eBay to get your phone? You are not directly lining the pockets of these corporations responsible for manufacturing the phone or the technology that you're getting secondhand. That money is going straight to the seller who's selling those items. And yes, the seller could potentially put that money towards a corporation where their ethics and their business practices are questionable, but at that point it's kind of out of our hands. But it's the choices that we are choosing to make, you know. We've decided, like in the case of me, like I kind of have, like, you know, with 3DSs and DSs and stuff like that, most of it's kind of secondhand now because they're not making it anymore. But like, you know, with clothes, right? With with thrifting, you know, getting it secondhand, you know, instead of people going to buy things mainstream and going directly to like Walmart and stuff like that, you know, or going to, like, you know, when Forever 21 was still in business, you know, maybe instead of going to Forever 21, you'd go to your local thrift stores and you get like used clothes. And there are people who do that, you know. So not everybody is buying directly from these companies. They're not buying directly like mainstream. And also for like people with like buying food and stuff like that, or like, you know, buying products that might involve like animal cruelty and stuff like that, you do realize that there are animal cruelty free products out there, right? And there are people who don't consume meat products, you know, vegetarians, vegans, you know, people who search for makeup that don't involve like animal cruelty or don't have animal products. Like, these arguments fall flat when you consider that not everybody is out here going in and participating in the mass consumption of what's capitalism. Like the statements that Stats made, he makes a lot of assumptions about his audience and is just generalizing his audience. Like, not everybody in his audience, you know, got bought went out and directly bought from these companies, and especially for the secondhand like part, like what if you got your clothes as hand-me-downs from your older siblings or for your parents, when clothes don't fit them anymore and they pass it off to like to somebody else like in the family who can benefit from those clothes or from their phones, like in my case, like when I was younger, my mom bought a new phone, but she still had the iPhone, like an old iPhone laying around that she was using previously. So it was like the iPhone 4 or S4 or whatever like that. It was an itty bitty iPhone. Like she was using that previously. She got a new phone and she gave her old phone to me, and I used it until I got an Android years later. It was the first iPhone I had, and it was the last iPhone that I had because I hate Apple. I don't like their products. The only other Apple product I have is an iPad, and I bought that directly from, Best Buy because I needed it for school. And yes, yeah, manufacturing the iPad there might have been child cruelty in the process of making that, but in my case, I didn't necessarily have to buy an iPad, but the reason why I needed to buy an iPad was because of my needs. I recently got diagnosed with ADHD, and I bought the iPad to reduce the amount of disorganized and cluttered and crumpled up papers that are in my bag. And that I bought that because it's supposed to support me in my academic, career. Like, yes, I didn't necessarily have to buy an iPad, but if I didn't, I would have struggled with papers everywhere. So, and plus, the less papers I consume, the less trees get cut down. So, I mean, the less paper I use, the better, honestly. And honestly, it helped a lot. I have less clutter. When it comes to like printing out worksheets, everything's online. I don't have to, worry about printing things and worry about, papers just being wasted. And yes, I kind of still use paper for like drawing when I'm drawing traditionally and everything like that. But that's kind of rare nowadays because everything that I draw is digital. So like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense as to why he's deciding to like put the blame and shift the blame onto his audience, saying, well, you use technology, and technology, you participate in capitalism and consumerism, and therefore this about you. And it's just nothing but like, it just shifts the blame. It makes a character attack on his audience. And another thing too is that just because yeah, like these important, the things that Sash does bring up, it is important, but why are you using that to shift blame? Like, it's still like an important thing that needs to be brought up, and that kind of encourages like just kind of like brings up the fact that you don't necessarily need to participate in the overconsumption of like capitalism. Underneath like Malcolm's video, where where they're talking about like Satch's like statements. Like, this comment said, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Does it mean you even have to try to does it mean you can't even try to make choices that align better with your values? OMG. If you need to rationalize that bad, take a step back and see how your conscience is doing. The knowledge that there is no ethical consumption under capitalism should be the reason to consume less. Yeah, that's what I just said. Not to mindlessly consume whatever we feel like consuming. That's simple. That's as simple as that. Yeah, like as I mentioned in the previous video, there's no way, it's kind of impossible to be like an ethical consumer when part of your money is going toward, corporations that do things that don't align with your values. But you have control over your money, like where you decide to spend that money. Now, obviously, with the necessities, like I said before, you know, it's kind of, you kind of have, there's a little bit of options, but there's not a lot of options, right? There's not a lot of options when it comes to getting your you're getting your needs, met, day to day, getting food, traveling to work, etc., etc. You kind of have no choice. And also, heating your home, he said, like, what do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? Like, freeze to death in our homes? Like, these are necessities. But like, the difference is between those things that he listed and, the situation with EA, right? Video games, they're not a need. They're a luxury. And even more so now with how expensive they're becoming. You don't need to buy The Sims 4. You don't need to buy their packs. You don't need to buy their kits, etc., etc., etc. If there's a video game company where they're doing things that don't align with your values and they're mistreating their workers, etc., 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 you have the power to not give them your money. Simple as. You don't have to financially support them if you don't need to, just because, and even if you love the game too, like, you don't necessarily have to continue buying the packs. You don't have to continue like buying their merch. You can, if you already bought the game before, still play it if you enjoy it, but don't keep giving EA your money. And that's why people are like upset. We're upset with a lot of creators, because like they just keep endlessly promoting the game, keep endlessly giving these creators money. And now that, EA was moving forward, or at least there's a high chance that this buyout would, go through, like, of course everybody is mad, and of course everybody's calling out these creators because, with all the information coming out, like, they don't need to be continuing to like financially support EA. So, and it's just weird with the way that Satch is going about this, because Satch is part of the LGBTQ+ community, and the fact that he's trying to rationalize, trying to dismiss the severity of the situation is just baffling. There's just one more clip that I want to show.
But to say to YouTubers or creators or anybody who plays The Sims 4 in general that they need to quit is pretty dramatic and dumb.
And I certainly am not telling anyone what they can or cannot do. That is up to you. However, what I am saying is that if you're a Sims content creator, especially one that's hyping up DLC after DLC and profiting off of EA sales with your creator code, you will have to deal with the backlash and the consequences of that decision. Whether you decide to pivot or stop playing The Sims altogether or keep playing like nothing's happening, there will be repercussions beyond your Sims channel, and it should weigh on your conscience.
Yeah, and I agree with Malcolm here. Like, of course, like I said before, like, if they already bought the game and they're enjoying it, continue playing the game. It's fine. What we mean by boycotting The Sims, we mean stop financially supporting The Sims. Stop financially supporting EA. I mean, that's what we want. That's what we want people to do, to just stop financially supporting the company, because they're not worth financially supporting. Now, obviously, to each their own. If you want to keep giving EA your money, like, nobody can force you, but just know that there are consequences with your for your actions. And especially if you're a creator, if you're just going to keep financially supporting EA and you're not going to acknowledge the harm that your money is going to giving your money to them is going to cause, then the universe has this way of delivering justice. So whatever energy that you decide to put out into the universe is gonna come back to you, whether twofold, threefold, tenfold, whatever. So yeah, it's just the way that Satch just decides to go about the situation is ridiculous, and he ends up deleting the video too, and Satch ends up, you know, putting out a response video, and the response video honestly is shit. So I've already watched the video the first time, and there was like another creator by the name of Adam, I'll put the name on screen. I can't pronounce, but they already responded to Satch's video, but and I will link it in the description below. But I'm going to react to the video today in this video to like get my opinions. I like to share my opinions on the whole thing. Yeah, so here's a video. I'm going to react to it and give my opinions on what he says and why I have issue with what he says. Actually, I'm going to pop this out and do it this way. There we go. It's going to be low quality, but
This is not an apology video. I am not reacting to any content that's been made about me.
And that's the first red flag. That's the first red flag. Because this video is talking about his previous video and the reactions that he got from it. And the fact that he starts off saying that this isn't an apology video is a huge red flag, because he said some pretty insensitive stuff. At least from the clip that I got from Not Malcolm, he said some out of pocket stuff in that video. And the fact that he doesn't want to apologize for it kind of shows what how he wants to handle the situation, and it immediately tells me that he doesn't want to take the criticism that was given to him.
I'm not a public speaker, especially when it comes to political topics and business topics. I don't know anything about it. I don't watch the news. I don't read news articles. I don't even watch TikToks about the news. I haven't done so for years, and that's just my personal choice. It's what keeps me a happier person.
And I understand why he wouldn't want to watch the news. Like, I don't watch the news mainly because I can't trust the news. A lot of news outlets are very polarized and very biased. I can't tell what's truth. I can't tell what's false. I mainly get my news from the internet with issues that affect me and that affect people, you know, like people that I see in the spaces and the communities that I'm in. Like, you know, when they pop up, like I'm not, you know, knowledgeable on everything. There's probably a million and one things going on in the world, and I'm only aware of a few things that are happening. But I try to be informed when I can, and I understand why he wouldn't want to watch the news, because there's a lot of doom and gloom on the news and stuff like that. But he is a large creator on YouTube, so when he heard the news about what's going on, why is it that instead of doing his research and, you know, educating himself on the situation, he's instead blaming other people and diminishing the voices of the people who are concerned about this deal?
So I'd like to say, I feel like it was wrong of me to make a statement so quickly, which is why I decided to private my original video. I didn't know and still don't really know that much information about the business side and the political side of the deal.
Which I don't quite understand why he doesn't understand the political side of the deal, because literally the game is going to be sold to Jared Kushner, Saudi Arabia, and another private equity firm. Like, Jared Kushner and Saudi Arabia, like, if you could just do a quick Google search over like those two topics, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of information that is going to be you will be able to get enough information alone, you know, to refresh people. You know, Saudi Arabia, you know, the public investment firm, like, it's a very conservative and a very authoritarian government. You know, they execute people, you know, who advocate for women's rights. They execute people from the LGBTQ plus community. Very, very horrible human rights violations. And then Jared Kushner, you know, he's Donald Trump's son-in-law. And if you know about the Trump family, and especially about Donald Trump, you know that it's not, you know, having the Trump family having access to a very inclusive, you know, video game when, you know, their opinions aren't very, they don't really encourage inclusivity, they don't really encourage diversity, you know. So I don't really understand why it's so hard for him to just go on Google and just do a quick Google search on these topics and understand why this is so bad, especially considering that he's a gay man. Like, why don't you want why wouldn't you? This will affect you. This will affect you. So why are you not apologizing? Why are you not apologizing for the words that you said, and you're just outright, you know, being passive about this, you know?
I think everyone has an expectation of SatchOnSims to be the kind of character that always gives a strong opinion about something, which, looking back, I wish I didn't try to live up to what I thought were people's expectations of that, because when I'm yapping on about The Sims, I know The Sims, I get The Sims, but I don't understand this whole deal and the situation as much as other people do, so hence I decided to remove my original video. Secondly, I would like to say I am a Buddhist. I don't know if I've spoken about this really on YouTube, but I go to, well, before I moved house to a completely new city, I used to go to my local Buddhist temple weekly. I love Buddhism, and basically the core number one thing about Buddhism is all about human suffering, and I know there's a lot of suffering in the Middle East, particularly at this given time, and of course I dislike this suffering, but I've always avoided talking about real world issues on YouTube, so for me to make an unscripted video about it, I can admit I made a mistake and there was a lot for me to learn from that experience. I would also like to be clear, just because I'm gay.
So, let me just pull up, because there's like a video, because like in that video where I mentioned where like another creator, you know, was reacting to like SatchOnSims like response video, like there was like a couple comments in there that I thought was like pretty important to like mention. Yeah, like because he mentioned that he was a Buddhist, but like at least according to like some of the comments who have studied Buddhism or are Buddhists who themselves, like this comment, as someone who was raised in a Buddhist household and is still somewhat practicing, he seems remarkably selfish, and I fear he might be taking the wrong lessons from it. At least from my experience, you are required to do charity to an almost uncomfortable degree to recenter yourself and your desires, which are a root of suffering. These takes feel so aggressively individualistic. I help others to that is convenient to me, but asking me to do anything more stresses me out, which is bad. It feels like a very Western religion is about making me feel better of you. And honestly, like there was like another comment. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here is the second comment. Crazy take from a Buddhist. Perhaps he resides in a vacuum or with his head perpetually buried in the sand. Not a Buddhist, but I've studied in undergrad and tried to incorporate some principles in my daily life. A huge part of the belief system is a responsibility to engage with suffering and its causes, many of which are structural. Like, oh, I don't know, the UAE generating its exorbitant wealth on the backs of modern-day slave labor, or maybe the violent subjugation of women and LGBTQ folks. This is his career. It's not like he's a casual Sims player. So the intentional ignorance is not only irresponsible, but also has a huge potential negative ramifications on his personal livelihood. Like, why would you assume everything's just going to work itself out or that the deal might be prevented with an EA employee walkout. That's not how anything works. A privileged stance, indeed, is giving Western chauvinism. Adam, I highly recommend Conflict Culture Change Engage Buddhism in a Globalized World by Sulak. I can't pronounce that. It was assigned reading for comparative religions course like a decade ago that I still pick up often, especially in this post-capitalist hellscape. Excellent read that offers a collectivist, non-Western perspective on what we owe each other, and also contains unabashed support for Palestine liberation. Yeah, like my opinions on the fact that he's using his Buddhism like as an excuse to like not do anything, and that he's just misusing the teachings that, you know, he's been taught, you know. And I'm going to be like, I've already mentioned this in a few videos now, like I identify myself as a witch. All right, I'm not Wiccan. I don't really want to participate in any like organized religion, you know, for various reasons. I do have my own spiritual beliefs, but yeah, like I'm speaking out, I'm talking about this because, you know, in my time spent in the witchcraft community, you know, right? I believe it was the activist witch's video, you know, like her I'm done video where she mentions this. I am pretty sure I believe it was that video. I don't know if it was like a different video, but I know she mentioned it in one of the videos, right? Where like people who would claim themselves as quote unquote witches, you know, saying that they're witches, but like are siding with the abusers, you know, and stuff like that. And like, because in her video, in one of her videos, like she, you know, gives reasons as to like gives her definition of like what makes somebody a witch, and her definitions of what makes somebody a witch and my definition of what makes somebody a witch is like different. But according to her definition, witchcraft is a sign of rebellion. If you're a witch but you're siding with the abuser, you are not a witch. And I mean, that's essentially what her stance is on that. And according to her logic, at least from that, in this case, you know, considering that, you know, Satch is gay and that also he's Buddhist, he's Buddhist, he's gay, but he's siding with the abusers in this case. He's siding with the oppressors. He's misusing his teachings to benefit himself and himself only. He's not using his teachings to like show support for the community and his peers. And for me personally, right, I'm not going to deny his right of him being considering himself a Buddhist, you know, because for me, what makes somebody a witch, what makes somebody like a Buddhist, what makes somebody, you know, practicing this religion, what makes somebody, you know, Christian, you know, is that if they're actively participating in the religion, you know, like going to like their temples or their churches, you know, reading up on the rituals and the practices or the spells, etc., and they're putting that into action in their own life, you know, because I'm of the belief if you're like reading and you're learning about the practices and like the techniques and the teachings and whatnot, then in my opinion, that makes you a witch, that makes you a Buddhist, that makes you a Christian, you know, etc. Now, there can be nuance, there can be gray areas, because, you know, like, you can be a witch, but you can still be an asshole. You can still be a Christian. I keep using Christians a lot because they give such good examples. You know, you can be a Christian, but be an asshole. You know, take the Crusades, take all the persecutions that happened, for example, you know. And of course, like I said before, there are gray areas. in the event where it's not particularly clear whether or not, you know, this person should really be considered a witch or a Buddhist or a Christian, this, that, and the third, I really would encourage to like look at it by case scenario, like look at their actions, look at what they're doing and stuff like that. So like in the case of, you know, people misusing their teachings to harm other people, like in this case, you know, which is misusing their power, their like, you know, their beliefs to support J.K. Rowling, and you know, Christians misusing and their teachings to like harass other people who aren't like them, and in this case Sash like using his teachings to not really do anything. Like I feel like that kind of falls into gray area, because like, yeah, they're siding with the abusers, and like they're like in this case, you know, like they're doing harmful things or they're siding with the abusers, but they're still like participating in the religion in some way. So I'm sure that there's like a lot of gray area. I would just say, you know, like I said before, take it by case scenario. And in the case of Satch, like, I'm not going to deny him his right to be a Buddhist, but he's definitely misusing his teachings here, and he's using it as an excuse to not really do anything. As the previous comment said, the whole point of like the main thing with Buddhism is, you know, suffering, and then, you know, going around and doing what you can to eliminate that suffering. And Satch isn't doing that here. Like, I don't understand why it's so hard for him to just research on the situation that's going on, because if he would just gain more research, you know, and put his Buddhist teachings to, you know, actual good use, you know, he could use the knowledge that he's gained to like offer support to his peers and to the people watching his videos, to the community, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that he's choosing not to do those things, it's just completely abhorrent. It's completely disgusting. And as somebody who is, you know, also like a spiritual person, it's selfish. It's disgusting. And you know what's funny, right? Because like in the video where I talked about, you know, speaking out against the use of white sage and cultural appropriation, where I called out a streamer that I met in the Twitch space where they said some insensitive comments, right? You know, if I had a nickel for every time a spiritual person said some insensitive comment and aren't willing to apologize for it, I have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. You know, and also, if I had a nickel for every time a content creator justified the use of overconsumption and just glossed over it, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Like, you know, like in that video where I talked about, you know, when that streamer was kind of like using the excuse of, you know, oh, but we have other medicines that get over harvested and over consumed, you know, and stuff like that. You know, it's medicine, like white sage is medicine, you know, it's being over harvested, over consumed. Well, there's a lot of other medicines that are over harvested and over consumed, which is like also bullshit. And this the type of mentality that Satch displayed in his original video that he deleted, where they're just, you know, trying to minimize the severity of the situation and and everything. And it's like, those are both problems that we have to address. You know, just because it's happening in other places doesn't make it right. And like I've said before, we have the power, you know, choose to like make informed decisions based, you know, and everything. Like, in the case of the harvesting of like other medicines, we should be speaking out against it and also finding alternatives to medicines that are ethically farmed, that aren't being over harvested and stuff like that. And yeah, like just because it's happening in other places doesn't mean that it's right, and it doesn't mean that we should just like be complacent and we shouldn't do anything about it, especially if it's like when it's like a plant that's really important to a group of people, or it's a subject that's really important to a group of people. In the case of SatchOnSims with the whole EA buyout and stuff like that, I just don't understand why. I didn't think that I would come across this mentality again in this situation, but this is the Sims community. Like, I'm not surprised, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating, if I'm going to be honest, because, it's like the amount of people that are supporting this response video that Satch made really shows where, the community, or at least some parts of the community, is at. They're just willing to like make so many fucking excuses. They're willing to be complacent and not really do anything and not speak out. It's disappointing and it's disgusting. It really is disgusting.
My burden to show sympathy to LGBT people lacking human rights in the Middle East is no more than anyone else's. I've seen people attack me for being gay, telling me that because I'm gay, I have to somehow step up more in a special way, more than anyone else should have to. And that's not fair. And I'm standing up for myself here. Whether you're straight or gay, we are all equally capable of having sympathy, and we are all able to stand up for those who don't have equality. Over the last couple of
But then again, he didn't do that in the original video. He's out here making up excuses. Just because you're gay, you have to step up more and things like that. I mean, kind of, there's a lot of harm and violence done towards LGBTQ+ people. Like, of course, we're going to be very vocal. Of course, we're going to speak out and everything and stuff like that. So whoever said that comment is stupid. Stupid. But he said that we're equally capable of showing sympathy and stuff like. But he didn't do that in the original video. Like that's kind of bullshit. That's kind of bullshit.
The amount of homophobic abuse I've had is abhorrent, which is just ironic when you consider that this is in the name of peace for LGBT people. Not just homophobic abuse, by the way, people mocking my appearance, my voice, people making lies about my political beliefs, about my social beliefs, apparently all in the name of boycotting Saudi Arabia.
Now, obviously, those comments who are just being assholes, like, out of pocket, like absolutely out of pocket. However, I don't really think that lumping them in the same, category as like all in the name of, boycotting is, I feel like these are just people who just want to hate because, they don't like him for some reason, and maybe they're using the fact that he's getting backlash to like pile on and dog on him. And it's just disgusting that people are harassing him because they want to find a way to like harass. It is stupid. Like, nobody should get harassed. Like, even if their opinions are shit, like, no one deserves to be harassed like that. It doesn't make y'all the bigger person. If there are people who are doing that all in the name of, to boycott The Sims, like, out of pocket, shame on you. Shame on you.
I don't like the Sims community. I never have, and I never will, and I've always been clear about that on my channel. I do not consider myself a part of the community. I think overall it's a cruel community. I think there are many bullies in the community, and I find it very fake and performative.
I mean, he's not wrong, but that's mainly on the creators. The Sims 4 creators, like, like the big ones, like the partners. That's what I mean. Like the Sims 4 partners, like the big ones. Most of them are performative. Most of them are two-faced. Most of them are inciting the toxicity, and it's them and their fans who are willing to like blindly, listen to them and blindly like partake in the harassment. It's mainly not it's not all the Sims player base. It's mainly those who it's mainly the big EA partners who are like two-faced and everything and are willing to just keep blindly supporting EA and are willing to like abuse other creators for not having the same opinions of them and then directing their audiences towards them and stuff like that. But a lot of other people in the Sims community, like outside of those like creators and outside of those like EA sympathizers, they're people who wouldn't resort to those abuses. But the problem is like there's a lot more toxic people in the community, in the Sims 4 community. I've listed the amount of toxicity that I've seen like in my previous video where in my first video where I complained about EA. But like I feel like making it seem like the backlash that you got from the video was just all these toxic behaviors is kind of disingenuous and it's deceptive. It kind of just makes it seem like anybody who is criticizing you, oh, they're haters, they're toxic, this, that, and the third. And I don't like that I don't like that type of thinking. I don't like that behavior. Like I've already like mentioned that in the video where I was talking about 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗀𝗀, where he was making it seem like all the criticism that he's got from his like opinions were like haters and left-wing extremists and stuff like that, when that's not the case. And it really shows, like, considering the fact that he says that he's not going to apologize, he's not going to respond, he's not going to listen to the criticism that he was given, the constructive criticism that he's been given.
The amount of abuse I've had in the last few days is enough to break someone. Luckily, I can handle it, and I want to say it's not just about me. I'm not victimizing myself here at all. There's been a lot of abuse to other creators too. Creators abusing other creators, either directly or indirectly making snide comments.
I mean, I will touch upon this later in the video where I talk about not Malcom and like another creator that I mentioned. Like I think the Simian also touched upon this, where there's like a lot of like Sims like players who are just being mean to like creators too. Like I know I am going to touch upon it when I get to it, but like be upset, have your opinions, call out these creators, but don't be assholes, y'all. Like there's no need for y'all to be acting out of pocket. Like there's no need, harassing anybody regardless of their stance in the situation doesn't make you the bigger person. It makes you an asshole. Stop it.
Creators influencing their followers to abuse other people. But the thing that's really pissed me off about this situation is the racism and xenophobia towards Arabic people in general. I've traveled the world a lot, and I can categorically say Arabic people are the nicest, kindest, most friendly, welcoming people I've ever met.
I mean, there were like Goons mentioned this in his previous video of like people using this, being like racist and like anti-Muslim and stuff like that, and I'm not surprised that that's happening, because like I'm not like, I already know like there's like people being like rude and stuff like that to the Muslims, but like in the case of like the situation with Satch and defending the buyout, like this, with this situation, right, the government's the problem, not like the government's the problem, not not like we're not most people. I mean, aside from those who are just finding an excuse to be racist and anti-Muslim and all that, but most of them aren't against, you know, the Arabics and the Muslims. They're just against an authoritative regime that abuses its people. People who are most likely already who identify as Muslim but just express themselves differently. Like,
100%. And the amount of racist jokes and xenophobic jokes people are making about them, hatred towards these people just because of this situation is horrendous. Coming from the Sims community, which is apparently the inclusive gaming community that includes everyone, the kind community, the diverse Sims community that actually happens to be, honestly, one of the rudest communities I've ever come across. And it's with
I mean, I can agree. The Sims community, like, it's diverse, like the game's diverse. It's made up with a lot of like diverse people. But when it comes to like this situation, a lot of cobblers have been shown, a lot of creators, and you know, especially with Thatch, you know, he doesn't realize how much his statements have, you know, hurt a lot of people. You know, like when it comes time to like speak up and speak out, you know, a lot of creators weren't really doing that. And they were just, everybody was just making up excuses as to why, you know, this, and, you know, all the mental gymnastics, you know, like this doesn't affect them and this, that, and the third. You know, like, I agree with Satch. The Sims 4 community is a really toxic community. And it doesn't help that a lot of the big name creators, like some of the Sims partners, like active, like have in the past actively partaking in the abuse and the harassment and have sent their followers to harass other creators. Like, I'm not denying the fact that, you know, this is a problem. Like, you know, like with all the abusive that I've said in the first video where I was, you know, complaining about EA, like, I'm not surprised. Like, I completely agree with Satch in this situation.
This reason why I say this is not an apology video.
However, the fact that he's saying this is not an apology video because, oh, the Sims 4 fans are toxic. Like, it's not all the Sims. Like, I agree, like, the Sims 4 community is a really toxic community, but it's not all of them. And the ones that were speaking out against your original video weren't the toxic ones. They were the ones that were calling out your bullshit statements. So, it's like this whole... I know it's already been, I've been yapping on and we haven't even gotten through half of the video. It's just the way that he comes across in this video. It doesn't, it just reeks of, oh, I don't want to take accountability for your actions. I'm only accountable to myself and everything and stuff like that. Like, I've already watched the video and we haven't gotten there yet. But like, that's what essentially the whole video gave off, is that I'm not accountable for my actions. I'm not going to explain myself to y'all and stuff like that. I'm not going to apologize for the insensitive shit that I said. That mentality like pisses me the fuck off. I can't.
Self and myself only. So
yeah.
What do I do in this situation?
Yeah, like, he's accountable to himself and himself only, but I guarantee you that he's not really going to do any additional research, you know, after this video. I don't believe that he did, because like, it's the same situation like what I had with that previous streamer, where he's not going to apologize. He's not going to take him out. I sent him the additional, you know, information, the additional research. He doesn't respond. He doesn't even take a peek. He doesn't do nothing. And I believe that the same Satch is going to do the same thing. He's not going to do the proper research. He's not going to send a proper apology. And this is the same mentality that I cannot understand, that I cannot get behind, that I cannot vibe with. You have a responsibility to like educate yourself, be informed, and speak up and speak out and support your peers, especially considering that you're a gay man, you know. Like, I don't understand why this isn't bringing off alarm bells and you saying like this is a serious situation. I need to speak up. I need to speak out. Like, I don't understand why this isn't registering for you.
With being on as normal, I don't want to make any big decisions or sweeping decisions. It's too soon for me personally to even think about making any big decision.
Like, like you're just gonna carry on as normal. Like, you're not gonna buy any more packs, are you? You're not going to continue giving this money any more packs, are you? Like, continue to critique EA, continue to critique The Sims, etc., etc. But like, you're not gonna continue to contribute any financial, like, you're not gonna continue to contribute financially to this company, are you? Like, you can still play The Sims but not give them any more money. If you mean continuing as normal, like, I think he said that he hasn't bought any new packs or something like that. Maybe he said that he hasn't bought any new packs and he's not gonna buy any new packs. Like, I don't know, I'm misremembering. Like, I hope he's not going to, like, if he's bought packs before, I hope he's not gonna continue making packs. And if he hasn't been buying packs, then yeah, continue as normal, continue to critique The Sims. If he wasn't already like financially like supporting them already, like, yeah, then I would say like continue as normal, continue to like say fuck you to EA. Like, I don't mind that. But if you were buying packs before and you're just gonna continue, then I would take issue to that.
In terms of what decisions other people make for their channel, that's their decision, not mine. I'm not going to praise them or criticize them. I'm not going to comment on any other YouTuber and what they do or don't do, because they are also in their own lane and I don't feel like it's my place to judge.
And this is where I take issue with this statement, because he's saying that he's not going to hold other creators accountable for the decisions that they made, which is a huge red flag, because a lot of creators weren't really, speaking out and speaking up, at least in this situation. Like, there was recent news about like a lot of creators like leaving the partner program that happened. Like, I'm gonna touch upon that, but he's saying that other creators that are, he's not going to speak out against the other creators for the decisions that he's made. Like, obviously there's nuance to the situation. Like, obviously for creators that haven't left the network but can't due to financial reasons, like, I will get into that when I get into that. Like, I have like a structure in order of how I wanted to talk about things, but like my mind is just, that order has just been shot out the window. ADHD, you know what I'm saying? So like, I will touch upon that later when I get to it, if I can remember to get to it. But he's essentially saying whatever decisions that other creators are doing, like, that I'm not gonna criticize or praise them. Like, so if there's like other creators in the space, he's not gonna call them out or hold them accountable for their actions if their actions are harming the community. And he's not going to touch upon, encouraging those who are standing up and standing out, like how other people have been doing, which, I don't know, it's fishy. I don't like it.
Or hold them accountable. I'm just editing this video, cutting out the gaps, and I just want to make it very clear. Obviously, I don't want this deal to go through. I think it would be a bad idea.
I mean, you don't want the deal to go through, but yet the previous video that you put out, making all that excuses, something's not adding up. Something's not adding up. Things don't. There's a discrepancy. You say you don't want the deal to go through, and yet you are making all these excuses and all these if, ands, and thirds, and I don't know. I'm stupid. I don't.
Well,
I'm
as a
going to
perspective,
like skip through because it's 16 minutes.
EA and also dislike some things about the Sims words. It's for one of these reasons why I personally don't watch the news, as I said before, because I know how easily things get taken out of context.
Okay, so like part of what he said got cut out here, but he was talking about like, you know, having clips of him be, you know, posted and shared out of context, and why he doesn't personally watch the news because like things can be shown without context. And I agree with him to like some extent, but that's what kind of happens when you put yourself out there on the internet when you're making content. People have the right to take clips of you, and if you have said statements that's, you know, problematic, out of pocket, like with the other video, people have the right to take that and call you out on that. Now, I do recognize that is the problem of people taking other people's clips or taking other people's messages, like in this case of with the art commentary community and that whole clusterfuck of that situation. But, you know, I recognize that that's an issue within the internet as a whole, just people taking your clips or taking your text and putting them in, you know, taking them, you know, removing the context from them, or perhaps, you know, editing them in a way that makes it seem one way when it's really the other. I understand that that's like a problem, but to just kind of hide yourself away and not, you know, and being, you're not, you know, informing yourself because, oh, you're scared of seeing yourself floating around, or are you scared of, you know, like I understand with the news because, you know, you can't trust the news sites, okay? I understand with like big, you know, news outlets, you know, I understand. I can give you a pass on that one because I can't trust the news either, because for pretty much the same for pretty much that same reason. Like I can't tell what's truth or what's not. Everything's polarized. But online, right, you kind of have no excuse. Like you can't just, you know, continue to be ignorant because you're afraid of clips of yourself being like, you know, talked about and like discussed on. Like people have the freedom to critique you if they so see fit. Now obviously don't be an asshole and just harass, you know, him and stuff like that if you decide to like critique what he's saying. But, you know, like that's kind of what happens when you're posting on the internet. You can't really be afraid of that. Like I know it's like anxiety inducing. You know I get anxiety when I'm interacting with other people on the internet and they're just being rude. But you know, you kind of just it kind of is what it is. You have to look at what people are saying about you and determine whether or not it's worth it to respond. Like obviously if the people like are being like rude and everything, if you don't feel like it's worth responding, you can ignore them. But if you feel like it's really important enough to like defend yourself, like then defend yourself. But you know, he seems, all of these are just excuses that he's giving to excuse himself to not inform himself, to not look at what's going on, to not look at the criticism that he's getting and, you know, improve himself on. He's lumping all the people that are giving him criticism into one big bubble, saying that, oh, they're haters and stuff like that. And there was like another creator that was doing that I will touch on later. But, you know, where have we seen this before? You know, like this isn't, you know, this seems to be a common thing on the internet where people who don't want to look at the criticism that they're given, the constructive criticism that their viewers are giving them, and they're just saying, oh, they're haters, oh, they're harassers, they're extremists. And it just shows that you're not willing to listen to what people are telling you if they don't have a different opinion. If they have a different opinion than you.
But however frustrating it is, I cannot be accountable for what other people say and do. If other live or if someone won't believe you, once somebody's made a decision, could write it by me. There's been a lot of rage bait content online about this buyout in the Sims YouTube space, and the truth is nobody can think clearly when they are angry, when they are scared, when they are sad. Bait you.
Like, the most of the videos that I've been watching are like informative videos. Like with Malcom, people have been saying that his content is rage bait and things like that, and I disagree. And I will talk about that with the other creator. I hope that he's not trying to say, oh, a lot of this informative content that's on YouTube is like rage bait and everything and stuff like that. Like, people are mad because this situation is a straw that broke the camel's back. You know, it's years and years of these content creators, like these EA partners, just continuing to kiss EA's ass and not break away and not to continue like financially supporting them. And I mean, they're not even paying for the packs, honestly. They got the packs for free. But you know, it's just the years and years of lies, of gaslighting, of being complacent with the business practices. Ooh, stuff that I tell you, with the business practices that EA has been doing. And, you know, people are finally saying enough is enough. And they're rightfully mad. They're not. I mean, I'm sure, like, there's always going to be those group of people who are harassing other people because they're upset. And I've already said before, if you're harassing people, regardless of their opinions and stuff like that, you're an asshole. Stop it. But people are rightfully mad because, you know, with this whole buyout situation, with creators not really doing their due diligence and standing up for the LGBTQ+ community, like, everybody's rightfully mad. Everybody's rightfully mad. So to say that, oh, they're just emotional, they can't think clearly, I feel like you're just dismissing a lot of people's feelings in the matter here. I really just, I mean, we're not even done. We're not even done. And how long is this? Like an hour? We're not even done. Like, this is going to be a long ass video. I'm telling you.
People spend more time criticizing what others are doing rather than focusing on themselves.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, I watched this video already, so I remember this part. They're saying, like, you know, focus on what you can do. Stop focusing on what other people are doing, which is bullshit. Like, yes, like, if do what you can in order to, like, help the communities, you know, like, help the LGBTQ+ communities and stuff like that. But part of, you know, doing your part to support the LGBTQ+ communities is calling out people who are doing actions that hurt the community, which in this case being the EA partners in this situation. Like, they were doing actions that weren't really helping. Like, they were being silent, they were being complacent, they weren't really, like, you know, speaking out against the situation. And at least at the first part, until like a couple of days ago, like, you can do those two things at the same time. And the fact that he's saying, oh, focus what you're doing, so don't focus on what everybody else is doing, like, that is showing that he'd rather be complacent when these large creators are just going to sweep this under the rug and not, you know, speak out against this, and they're just willing to be complacent. Like, this is just a whole lot of bullshit in this video. You know, I'm going to, like, continue to skip through this because I just can't. Like, the other creator that I mentioned before, yeah, Adam already went ahead and, like, reacted to this video. Like, I'm losing energy just listening to this and, like, picking apart everything he says. Like, I know I'm detail oriented, but, like, this is wearing me out. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. like I'm tuckered out from this video. I can't listen to it anymore. Like I already watched it before, but like, yeah, it's just a lot of him just making excuses and not really taking accountability and not really doing his part to speak out against the people who aren't doing their part to support the community. It's just a whole lot. It just reeks of a whole lot of privilege and stuff like that. Like here, like there was like more comments. They said yeah, like some people can't do anything at all. Not playing a game or promoting a game is literally no work at all. It's literally less work. Yeah. And then there's another comments like, these stances don't even make any sense. By doing nothing, you aren't complacent. But his entire argument to the last video was that we are already complicit in human rights abuse via other products. So what does it matter if we're complicit through EA? And yeah, does Satch not know that there are different Arab countries with vastly different cultures? Saudi Arabia is the one with the human rights violations, babe. Yeah, like it's just, I don't think you realize how privileged it is to not have to pay attention to the news because it doesn't affect your life. Yeah, it's just, he's just making a whole lot of excuses. And I'm just sick of it. And a lot of people are sick of it. Like, why are so many people so quick to make excuses for the game? When pretty clearly at this point of time, it's really like it's really important that we stop enabling, that y'all stop enabling EA. Like I'm like so tired. So yeah, it's just a lot of it's just really ridiculous the way that people are just making so much excuses with the whole situation. This creator, right, like Ricky Stars, she made a video talking about like the Sims creators and her opinions on the situation. I was going to like kind of show a clip from her, but I'm just going to like bring up a point that she made in the video. I will link the video in the description below if you guys want to watch the whole video. But essentially, right, like there was a point in the video where she said like the bare minimum that these creators could do is leave the creator network. Like if they still want to play the game, at least leave the network, you know, stop supporting them financially. And that's what ended up happening within the last couple of days. Like a lot of creators have decided to leave the creator network, which good on them. Like good on them. Like finally, like it was about time. They should have left like years ago. And especially with 𝗂𝗏𝗀𝗀, like she said in her community post, like she's at a place of privilege that she's able to leave, but not every creator has that privilege to be able to leave. And to those creators, like I would say, like you know, talk with your audience, you know, be honest with your audience. If you're in a position where you can't leave the creator network for a variety of reasons, you know, talk with your audience saying, hey, I can't leave the network because of this and this. You know, I don't want to support the sale, but I can't detach from EA. You know, if I were to diversify my content, would you guys you know, tune in? Would you watch those videos? Like, would you support if I made a Ko-Fi? Would you support if I made a Patreon? Like, it doesn't hurt to just be honest with your audience and touch base with them. Like, if you built up a loyal following, they will do what they can to like support you. You just got to be honest with them. And like, I don't know if I already said this before, but again, like some people are probably like, because I mentioned in my previous video where I was upset about how certain creators haven't spoken out yet. And with the Simian, like she mentioned, like some people, you know, need a bit more time, and I wasn't thinking about that when I said that, so my bad. I would say to those people who haven't had the chance to speak out yet, obviously, if you're put in a tight situation, figure out what you gotta do, right? But at least give a small update to your audience, like, hey, I know what's going on. I saw the news. I'm still trying to figure out what to go on. When I have like an idea of what I want to do, I'll let you guys know, etc., etc., etc. If it's like a financial issue, like just be honest with your audience, you know, and for like the viewers, like don't harass the creators. Like I keep saying it over and over and over in this video, like just don't be assholes. Just don't be assholes. Like with like a lot of creators that are leaving the network, there's still some of them are still going to play Sims content, but they're just not going to financially support EA, which is good. Like if they can't, if they still want to play The Sims, like at least don't give money to this company, right? At least don't give money to the company. Like, and that's good. That's good. That's good that people are now finally, these creators, these former EA partners are now breaking away from EA and they're now trying to diversify their content. But I know I did see a post from 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀 who, when she expressed her grievances about when she decided to separate from the Sims 4 content, saying how in her instance she was harassed, but in the case of the EA partners, like the former partners, they received love and support, and how she's like side-eyeing the community. Like I see the double standard, and I'm not surprised that was happening, especially considering that she's a Black woman. So people would just harass the smaller creators, and especially the POC creators, simply because they decided to like stand on business first. But if the other creators, the white creators, are like doing the same thing, they're met with praise, especially if they have a large and loyal following. I see the double standard, and I agree. It happens with a lot of like situations, not just in the Sims community, but a lot of situations where as POC have to like are speaking up and against this harmful stuff that's being done to us in other marginalized groups, and we get harassed for it. But when a white creator, pretty much says the same thing, they get support for it. So yeah, it's just a global issue. It's not unique to the Sims community, but I just wanted to mention that post from 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀. But yeah, like she did make a post about that, and I kind of want to give my opinions on that. Now, there's been like another situation, like in regards to like not Malcolm and like this other content creator that I happened to come across, in the situation between those two. And I just want to bring up that because I feel like I wanted to give my opinion on that and kind of call out not Malcolm and also this creator for like certain things that they did. So yeah, this is a creator who goes by the name of Sim Shadyyy, and I happened to come across this video in my recommended in my feed, and I kind of have an issue with this video, mainly because of the way that she as well as her partner decided to portray not Malcolm. And I've noticed some discourse surrounding not Malcolm, and the comments saying, oh, he makes rage bait content, and people have taken issue with him because of his situation with fake gamer girl. With the comments that I was seeing against Malcolm, people were even saying, oh, he's petty and stuff like that, but they wouldn't mention fake gamer girl. They were kind of making it seem like this is a constant pattern that he would display against other creators. And then I would see the comments mentioning fake gamer girl, and it was something that 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀 had mentioned in one of her videos about like that situation. And I was confused about that situation, so I decided to like search it up and like watch the video in question of him like beefing quote unquote with 𝗃𝗃𝗺𝗀, and I have to be honest, like I liked the part where he was like going in and debating, you know, giving his opinions as to why her response and her statements kind of didn't make sense in some parts or fell flat in other parts. But I will agree, I did not fancy the unwanted pettiness. And 𝗃𝗶𝗺𝗀 mentioned that in her video, and not Malcolm like commented under that video, but he didn't respond to the statement that she made with 𝗃𝗃𝗺𝗀. So I'm over here like, Malcolm, you need to explain yourself. Why aren't you addressing this? Because honestly, people are thinking that this is a pattern, and obviously this thing between you and 𝗃𝗃𝗺𝗀, this is the first instance that I'm seeing where he was being unnecessarily petty. And if this is a common occurrence, like people need to be, you know, showing evidence and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you have addressed it before, like if you apologized to her, like the 𝗃𝗃𝗺𝗀 before, like I feel like you should kind of like remind everybody that that situation has already been dealt with and stuff like that. But if you haven't apologized to 𝗃𝗃𝗺𝗀, I do believe you owe her an apology, because the unwarranted pettiness that I sensed from that video, it out of pocket. That didn't need to happen. There was no reason for you to be petty, and I'm gonna hold you accountable for that. And if this is a bit of pattern, you need to cut it out. If this has been a pattern, you need to cut it out. I watch your content, Malcolm, because of the information that you give and the fact that you're holding these content creators accountable. I didn't come to watch your content for the cat fights and the pettiness. That's not what I came there for, and that shouldn't be how you address certain situations, by being petty. That doesn't help your credibility. That doesn't help people take you seriously. And I just wanted to talk about that and, you know, give my 2 cents on the situation. But in regards to this creator, you know, just directing their like hate with their audience and spreading misinformation, like the way that I watched this video before, and the way that they decided to structure this video, it made it seem like Malcolm is intentionally, you know, spreading hate, or intentionally sending his audience to harass creators. Now, I never got that from his videos, from me personally, and I could recall him saying that he wasn't trying to shame anybody, or he doesn't encourage the harassment. I tried going back through his videos. I don't know if this is if I'm misremembering or anything like that, but I feel like it is important with types of videos like this. Like if you're critiquing somebody, that you say, hey, do not harass this person, do not harass anybody that I mentioned in this video, this, that, and the third, because, you know, that tells your audience that you do not condone harassment, and you do not want them harassing anybody. That's why I do it in my videos, because, you know, with the whole situation and the content and the, you know, the art commentary community and stuff like that, and also some artists that I follow also put this disclaimer in the front of their videos, like reminding everybody not to harass people. I just started doing it myself because I think it's important to let your audience know that you do not encourage these acts of harassment. So I do feel like he needs to say that more often, to let his audience know that, hey, please don't harass people. Because if he's noticing that people are going and harassing others, then obviously he needs to call that out. but his video was making it seem like he was doing it intentionally, which I don't really agree with, and I kind of feel like that's deceptive. And I feel like with the comments that her partner was making critiquing Malcolm, I feel like they kind of missed the point of why a lot of people are mad. So I'm going to play this clip. I'm going to react to it. It's 14 minutes long. I'll try to get through it as fast as possible, but I don't know, with how detail oriented I am, we'll see about that.
With the EA buyout has come a lot of discourse within the community, and I've been having really important conversations off camera with my partner and editor, Lorenzo. And having these conversations off camera, I'm realizing this perspective that we have is not being shown. Instead, we have people like not Malcolm accusing us of horrific things. My partner Lorenzo is not a public figure. He is not comfortable on camera, but I did ask if he would be comfortable to share his perspective. I didn't think it would be genuine to read his notes and read off what he says to tell me to say to you. That's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the arguments that he's making. So I'm going to hand it over to him.
Hi guys. As you know, I'm her partner, I'm her editor, and the reason why I personally wanted to talk about this issue is because the rhetoric, the persuasive language that I'm hearing from people like not Malcolm is the language that I hear commonly in debates. And what I've noticed is that sim influencers either don't know how to or simply don't engage in this kind of debate style. Like,
yeah, I can agree. Especially now, they not just Sims creators, but just everywhere in the internet, people just don't know how to like properly, you know, have a healthy debate and have a healthy conversation with each other. It mainly degrades to shouting match or shouting matches in the comments or between or tweets or stuff like that, character attacks, name calling, you know, victim blaming, shifting the blame. It's not just in the Sims community, it's like everywhere in the internet right now. So I will agree with him that this is a problem. That's a problem.
take 𝗂𝗏𝗀 for instance. She's smart, she's intellectual, but
It's time to ask more of our browser. Hey Copilot, adjust all these recipes for 7 guests and combine them into one.
I don't think she has that debating rhetoric, you know what I mean? And since I listen to debates, I feel like I can speak up about this type of stuff. And the problem with having strong rhetoric just on one side, I feel like it skews the discussion that we're trying to have. And so we need that balance. I feel like I can make that balance so that you guys can make your minds up. So my objective is to go through not Malcolm's video, actually answer and address the points that he's raising, tell you what I agree with, but also bring up any issues that I have with them. And I want to try to do this as neutrally, as good faith as I possibly can, because you guys deserve to make your minds up clearly. Let's just jump straight into it with his first and main point.
And the worst part is, any money you give them will be used to support systemic hate, bigotry, and literal murder.
Okay, off rip, this is emotionally charged language. These words are supposed to punch you in the gut. I mean, you can imagine the image he's trying to paint with his words here. And when you frame your point like this, it immediately suffocates the conversation.
I'm not gonna disagree with him on this, because like, even though I'm not an expert at having debates either, I try my best to like listen to both sides of the situation. Now, obviously, not everybody's perfect, and if I said something out of pocket, like, I expect y'all to call me out. Obviously, I expect y'all to call me out, but do so respectfully. You know, there ain't no need for the name callings and everything. All right, like, I try my best to hear everybody's side on the situation. However, like, the first point that I want to make here, right, is that I think it's something like, I mean, I watched the video once, but I didn't exactly process everything I said, so he said, so I'm just going through it and reacting to it now to like give my opinions as I go to like refresh my memory, but I think in one of the comments saying that the whole issue with the buyout is like kind of being lost here, because EA isn't just being sold to like another like pub, isn't staying public. It's going from a public company to a private company, meaning there's not going to be any shareholders and stuff like that, like I mentioned in the previous video, of like these private equities like coming up and buying everything and stuff like that. EA is going to be owned. There's a high chance that EA is going to be owned by Jared Kushner, by the private equity, Silver Lake, and Saudi Arabia. You know, after like what I discussed in the previous video, after they've, paid the fees for like maintenance and, keeping the company alive, etc., 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 whatever profits they can gain from this, it's going straight to them. Like, I don't know how they're going to split up the money, but whatever profits that they can get from this, however they want to split it, it's going straight to them. Some of that's going straight to Jared Kushner. Some of that's going straight to Saudi Arabia. Some of that's going straight to the private equity. And that's what people are taking issue with. And within the video, right, they don't point out the fact that Malcolm mentioned the double standard and the hypocrisy in regards to the Hogwarts Legacy situation, where if the people in the Sims community were side-eyeing people because who would play Hogwarts Legacy, because a portion of that, even if it's a tiny bit, is going to J.K. Rowling. But with the whole information coming out with Saudi Arabia already owning 10% of that, and now they want to gain more percent of the company, and yet nobody is given the same energy. Like, they don't really mention that here. Like, this person doesn't really, he doesn't, I don't believe they mentioned that in that video. They don't talk about that, and I don't think they, like, people are upset because once the buyout goes through, whatever profits they can gain from that, that's going to go straight to them, and it's going to go straight to that people, and they're going to use the money for whatever purposes they see fit. For Jared Kushner, I don't know what he's going to use that money for, but he's a part of the Trump family, and he's I'm sure he has a lot of money, and stuff like that. Whatever money that the Trump family can gain from this, it can't be good. It cannot be good. And it's also dangerous because having somebody own a game, and that somebody is close to the president and is very close to the like a conservative person who has a lot of power in the country, like, it's really dangerous. Because even though there were arguments saying that Saudi Arabia won't be able to touch this because this and this, even though Saudi Arabia may not have interest in touching The Sims, that doesn't mean that this private equity can't touch it. That doesn't mean that Jared Kushner can't touch it. So it's like really dangerous. Like, this whole situation is like really dangerous. And yes, I would agree that the way that Malcolm had framed his argument was like very emotional, but that's kind of the truth in this situation. That's the truth. Whatever profit that they're going to be able to gain from the game after they acquire the company, they're going to use it for, like, at least two of the owners, Jared Kushner and Saudi Arabia, they're going to use it for nefarious purposes. I don't know about the Silver Lake equity. I don't know about that company. I don't know if they have ties to like some human rights violations, but honestly, any private equity that buys, I don't think they really care about sharing the values of its customers. They're mainly buying it to like make a profit somehow, like I mentioned in the other video, with private equity just buying up these homes and buying up the entertainment industry. And, you know, they want to control, they want to control, gain control over the stuff that we buy. They want to have control over that.
And now, any counterpoints I raise, they're seen as excuses or cope. Like, we immediately move away from the discussion, and now it's, please defend how you think it's okay that your money is funding the murder of innocent. You see what I'm saying? We're nowhere near any type of discussion. And this is what I don't like about this type of rhetoric. Doesn't lead to discussion. It's emotionally manipulative. But let's actually address his point here. Is our money directly supporting systemic hate, bigotry, and literal murder? No, it's not.
Not at this moment of time, because right now, Saudi Arabia only owns 10%, right? Now, EA is like $1 billion company, right? I mean, so 10% of that, owning 10% of that, you're still getting a lot of money. But like with the J.K. Rowling situation, right? You know, yeah, she might get a small portion of this, but like this, and this is happening, and this person has ownership over this and stuff like that. She may not get a percent. She might get a flat fee, or maybe she's not profiting off of it at all and stuff like that. Because like with the J.K. Rowling situation, I understand that there is nuance in that situation, and right now there is a bit more nuance in this situation because, like, you know, the Saudi Arabia right now only owns 10%, right? Now there is less nuance in this situation as opposed to like J.K. Rowling, because it's a lot more complicated, and the situation is as simple as like a bad government owning 10% of a gaming company. Now, people can make arguments of how much money is really going into the hands of these people, and because there's a lot of nuance in that situation, I would say, yeah, like, just come to your own conclusion as to whether or not you want to continue supporting giving money to EA, even if they're, you know, like, because even if it's a small amount, like, some of that's still going to, like, into the hands of these people. So yeah, like, this whole thing, like, EA is like a big company, like, even though they own 10%, that's still a lot of money they're getting, but people can argue that they might be getting less than that. So I don't know, it's just, I'm not going to judge people if it was just that, if it was just the situation where Saudi Arabia owns 10% and everything like that. But this isn't just that situation, like I mentioned in the previous video, right? Where, because, like, you know, like, right now it may not be, people can argue like what we're contributing may not be significant enough, like, but in the future, in 6 months, this is going to be a reality, you know, and this government is performing those human rights violations, you know, given the information that we have. Like, once you've learned of that information, it's kind of hard knowing that some of that money is going towards, you know, an authoritarian government. Like, in the case of J.K. Rowling, like, when I talked about that issue in my witchcraft video, like, one of the second opinions that I got in regards to the whole situation is, like, once I learned that a person that I follow, you know, has done some nefarious things, like, it's kind of hard for me to separate them from their art and stuff like that and support them. And some people are like that.
It's an oversimplification of how money flows from us, the consumer, to the company owners. And to oversimplify a complex issue like this, bro, that's not okay. That's not fair. It's like thinking everything in the world is black and white when there's a lot of gray areas. But I do feel like there is an underlying question that he is raising. Where does our money go? And realistically, the $50 you pay for a pack, a good portion of that goes to people we do want to support. The game devs, the people that work for The Sims. And then you have the marketing team, the office workers, taxes.
Yeah, like, I do agree about that. But like I said, well, whatever profit these people are getting, after these people are getting paid, you know, after the marketing people are getting paid, you know, after like the maintenance have gotten paid, whatever profits that they're able to squeeze from that, that's going towards their nefarious practices. Like, we may not be directly supporting that, and it's the same with everything, and it's like the same with everything that we buy, like I mentioned before with like SatchOnSims and like the comparisons that he was making. Like with a lot of the things that we buy, like yes, a portion of that may be going to like a harmful, you know, maybe going to like harmful people, but like number one, some of the things that we might buy, there are necessities, and yes, some of that money is going towards people who deserve it, and you know, we want to support them. But you know, like I said before, in the cases with the phone example and like the necessities example, like those are, like I said, those are necessities. We kind of have no choice. We don't have a lot of choices when it comes to fulfilling our needs when it comes to buying these things. But with EA, you know, we don't have to play The Sims. We don't need to play video games. Like, we have a choice. We have a choice. Yes, our money may be going towards the Sims 4 teams and Maxis. It may be going to people at EA that we may support, but some of that money is still going towards Saudi Arabia. And because EA, this isn't a need, right? We can choose not to support this. We can choose to say, hey, no, a portion of this is going to these people that I don't support. I'm not going to support this company anymore. And like I said before, they didn't touch upon that fact that Malcolm mentioned, the hypocrisy in the J.K. Rowling situation and the Sims 4 community. Like, they had that energy with that situation, but that energy is not there now. Where'd that energy go? Suspicious. So
all of that stuff, and whatever's left, that's EA profit, and a portion of that will in fact go to the PIF. So yes, a portion, however small, will go to the PIF. And that's the honest truth here. Your money sometimes flows into the pockets of terrible people. And what's interesting is that not Malcolm understands this.
During the production of the iPhone, are there exploitative and unethical labor practices occurring? Absolutely. Just like there are with pretty much every.
Like, I think I'm realizing now, like, I think it's just the one video that they're reacting to. So I don't think they even saw the video that had the clip where, I don't know if it was in this video or if it was in a different video where not Malcolm mentioned the clip talking about the J.K. Rowling situation and the Sims 4, like the people in the community, in the Sims 4 community, like reacting to that. So if that's the case, like if I'm misremembering where like the clips are coming from, if that clip was from like a different video and they're just only reacting to like this video in particular that doesn't have the clip, it kind of also infuriates me that they're painting him as this like intentional person, that like he's like intentionally like spreading hate and stuff like that, because like there's a lot of information missing here. They don't say if they've watched more of his videos. They don't like I said before, they don't mention the point that not Malcolm made about the J.K. Rowling situation with Hogwarts Legacy. And then because like it also towards the end of the video, like they go off to show like some of his channel and like the thumbnails trying to portray him as somebody who's like doing it purposely. But if you watched his videos, you would understand that he's just calling out these creators for being two-faced and giving misinformation and, you know, sending the and harassing other people. So if they're only reacting to this video and they haven't watched the other videos, the fact that they're already painting him as this like bad creator, it seems deceptive. So
every product you consume and use on a daily basis. But when you actually go out and buy the iPhone, who's really getting your money? Does Apple get everything? Well, no, they're a public company with investors all over the world.
I mean, do you hear it? Does Apple get everything? No. Okay, but it does get something, right? And a portion of that something goes to unethical people, right? Like this right here, this is hypocritical. There's all the nuance, all the shades of gray on his side, but on our side, no, it's black and white, and you're funding murderers. Look, I'm not saying you're just as bad as I am, so I can do whatever I want. That's deflecting. We have a moral dilemma on our lap, and later on, I want to discuss what are we morally obligated to do as individuals and as a community. But putting complex issues into oversimplified boxes does nothing to solve the issue. It just makes it easier for you to guilt trip and manipulate. Now, when he was talking about the iPhone example, he was addressing SatchOnSims' point that he makes in his video.
There is no such thing as ethical consumption. Are you watching this video on a phone right now? Some child in a third world country probably in a mine explosion.
He references that clip that I referenced
to build
before.
the phone that you're watching me on right now. Congratulations, you child.
Before I talk about Not Malcolm, I gotta talk about Satch. And I can only go off the clips of Satch from Not Malcolm's video because Satch has taken down his original video. So I can't check for any further context or if there's anything missing. But from the clips that Not Malcolm has, when he calls him out for being defensive and the whataboutisms, I agree. When someone brings up an issue and then you go straight ahead and say, okay, what about this issue though? You're not addressing their concerns. It's deflecting. Remember when I said, I'm not saying you're just as bad as I am, so I can do whatever I want. That's fine. That's exactly what Satch is doing here. And he calls him out for it. What really sucks is that it's valid to point out hypocrisy when you see it. But when you don't address their concerns first, you are technically deflecting. You're doing whataboutisms. And addressing their concerns first makes all the difference. Like say I come home and you come to me and you say, babe, you didn't wash the dishes again. Can you please do them? You're being a slob. You know I don't like that. I can go, you know what? I did promise you that. That's my bad. I'll do them right now. But you said you were going to do the bathroom and it's still dirty. Aren't you being a slob too? Don't you think that's a bit hypocritical? But like I said, I think he actually agrees. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Take the iPhone example. He understands that some of his money might be going to unethical places, unethical people. So I think his real point focuses more on the awareness of where our money goes and what our next step should be.
When I go to the gas station, it does not tell me at the pump where the crude oil used to produce this gasoline is sourced from or what country or company it's enriching. This gasoline could come from Texas, Norway, Mexico, Canada, or Saudi Arabia, or hell, maybe a combination of all of those. And we also don't know what percentage of this sale is going to support which company or government. That information is not clear to us as consumers. Does that mean the entire process behind the gasoline's production is ethical? Of course not. But when we have the knowledge, as we do in this case, and we know exactly where all of our money is going, not 1%, not 10%, 100% of it, then that knowledge gives us the ability to make ethical decisions and to vote with our wallets.
Okay, let's try boil down all of that and figure out what his points are. Again, I think he understands that the money you spend sometimes flows to unethical people. But once you are aware of where your money goes, now you have to make an ethical decision. And I can agree. With awareness comes a certain level of moral responsibility. But his rhetoric kind of leads you to think that there's only one choice, and that's to boycott. But there's many ways to bring awareness. It is not 100%, but a small portion does go to people whose values directly oppose ours. And any money at all going to them really hurts. But money is not morality. Speaking up, standing up for the things that we support, those things can carry ethical weight. I'm not saying don't boycott, but there's more than one way to show your awareness other than boycotting, and that deserves to be said. The way.
But I mean, I would agree with what he's saying, but like in the case of EA and everything, like I said before, like if you're still playing the game, if you already bought the game, like still play the game, like you already spent your money on that, you might as well just get use out of that. But what we mean by boycott, we mean don't stop buying the packs, stop giving money to the company, stop buying merch and stuff like that. Maybe boycott is the wrong word here. What we're really trying to say is if you've been buying packs over these last few years and you're continuing to hype up the game. Stop doing that. That's what we're really trying to ask from these creators. That's what we're trying to do. You know, yes, speak up, speak out, you know, and also hold people accountable too. Like, if other creators are like not doing their part and they're just continuing to like promote the game, and they're criticizing, they're sending their audience after other people who don't share the same opinion as you. They're not really addressing the concerns of their audience who are having concerns, and they're just saying, oh, these people don't like what they're doing, they're haters, or this or that, and this, that, and the third. Like, hold these people accountable, you know, hold these people accountable.
He phrases it, leads people to think that there's only one road, and that's not fair. And this kind of feels like his theme throughout all of this. It's to oversimplify things and use emotionally charged language in order to manipulate.
With EA and its products, you know exactly where your money is going, and most importantly, the deplorable things it is contributing to. Any money you give them will be used to support systemic hate, bigotry, and literal murder.
I mean, because yeah, like with the, I'm not going to disagree with the point that, man, I forgot his name, like the other person was saying, because right now, like as I said before, right now, you know, when we give our money to EA, only a portion of that is going to 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗀, but that's not going to be the case in the future. Like, after we give their money to, like, once the deal goes through, and after we give our money, and if people give their money to like EA, you know, after they pay for, they spend the money on, you know, running the company, you know, what's left, which is going to be a significant amount, they're going to do whatever they can to get to squeeze as much money out of the company. And that's going to mean layoffs, that's going to mean studio closures, they may even sell off some studios if it comes down to it. Like, they're going to do whatever it takes so that they can reap the most profit from that. So they're going to reduce the amount of people who need that money to support themselves. They're going to reduce the amount of studios they may run, you know, and shut down creative products. You know, it's going to affect creativity. It's going to affect, you know, the ability for like good products to be pushed out. Yeah, it's not a very good situation. I would agree, like, the way that Malcolm is trying to, like, his language is not the best, but I don't believe that he's doing it maliciously. I feel like he said it, but not really understood, like, the meaning of his words. Like, I want to give Malcolm the benefit of the doubt that, you know, he should have chosen his words differently, but I don't think that he was doing it intentionally. And I do like the fact, like, I do want to encourage people to, like, call Malcolm, like, call out these creators out, and especially not Malcolm, because, like, I already called him out on the way that he decides to, like, go about the fake gamer girl situation, and I do believe that, you know, this person has the right to call him out for, like, the language that he used in this video. But I feel like, you know, like the whole situation, like, the reason why people are, like, upset and, like, don't really understand that, you know, the reason that this is, like, really serious. Like, I feel like like, the main issue that I'm having with this video is the fact that they're intentionally portraying Malcolm as, like, somebody who's doing it, saying these things on purpose, and is trying to mislead, which I don't really think he's doing intentionally. And I feel like that Malcolm should respond to this video and should, like, address, like, the language that he used in this video. And I also wanted to address the fact that, you know, the people are saying these, they're giving the opinions on the buyout, but they're not really understanding why a lot of people are upset. They're not really understanding, this isn't EA saying public, it's going to a private, it's going to become private.
Not 1%, not 10%, 100% of it.
I'm not saying he's dead wrong. There's validity to his points. But bro, delivery is key. The words you use is everything. And I can tell he's not here to discuss, but to pressure you into seeing the issue exactly how he wants. And he does it again when he's talking about content creators.
So these people have plenty of time to figure out if they're going to keep beating the dead horse that is The Sims 4 and working for EA as members of the creator network, and whether they will enrich the Saudi government and enable human rights abuses in the process. It is that simple.
Like, this is the wrong way to go about discussing anything. Guys, you are not enriching the Saudi government and enabling human rights. Bruh, to say a small portion of my money going to the PIF is enriching is a cruel exaggeration.
Yeah, like I would agree, like the language that Malcolm is using is not great. It's not great. But a lot of people are calling out these creators is because, like, for years they've done nothing but they've just been promoting the game. They've just been glancing over like the issues that have been plaguing The Sims 4 for like a while now. And a lot of these creators are making excuses for them to not speak up and do anything. Like like all we're asking from these creators is to stop giving money to this company for not stop giving money to this company from because A, they're just enabling EA's greedy behavior, you know, and B, you know, like yes, and B, because like the situations regarding like Saudi Arabia and the buyout and everything like that, like because of that, and they're not really taking it seriously. They're making excuses and stuff like that. They're calling the criticism that they're getting like haters and not really understanding why people are upset. Like, I understand that Malcolm should have used better language, but we still can't ignore the issue that there have been a bunch of creators within the community who say that they're for the LGBTQ+ community, but like their actions don't match their words. Like, that's the whole issue of why people are upset, is because a lot of the creators within the community are just making excuses. They say they're for diversity and stuff like that, but they're willing to harass other people who don't have the same views as you, or they're going to try to dismiss other people's concerns, and they're just gonna keep doing what they're doing and sweep this under the rug and not address it and hope that everything blows over. It really shows that they're not willing to speak out against these things, and that's like, you know, that's why a lot of people are upset. It's because a lot of creators aren't really doing what they can to like support the LGBTQ+ community. And you know, like with the recent creators, like, you know, finally leaving the creator overnight group that they should have done years ago. Like, I commend them for that. I'm saying, like, yes, you know, you did the hard part, you know. I mean, for some of these, it shouldn't have been hard at all, honestly, you know, considering the amount of money that they make from the Sims content. Like, it shouldn't have been hard for them all. But I know, like, with other creators, like, who are still big but like smaller than, you know, the big names, like, yeah, you know, there might be like some financial issues tied to this and stuff like that, but they took a risk, and I commend them for that. But, you know, and it's just I like, a lot of people are upset at creators because of, you know, the hypocrisy a lot of the times, you know.
But I guess I am enriching since I'm aware, right? And awareness is all he cares about. So let's get aware. A quick Google on iPhones and wow, child labor uncovered in Apple's supply chain in China. So I guess you're funding sweatshops. Wait, China? Isn't that the same country accused of genocide? Enabling genocide is crazy. So since you're now aware of where your money goes, I guess you got some pretty dire decisions to make, right?
It's not, I mean, because like I said, with how this phone example just falls short, because it makes a lot of assumptions about the person who has the phone, because again, they could have gotten it secondhand either from eBay, Mercari, or maybe their family member lent it to them and stuff like that. But if they don't have that option to get from Mercari, if they don't have that option to get to get it from another family member, like, they don't really have much of a choice. They need a phone. Society requires you to have a phone or some sort of technology to like communicate to get somewhere. So even if they wanted to, like, not have an iPhone or not have a phone, they kind of have no choice. So
We can play this game. You'll probably find something on me somehow that's even more worse. The point I'm trying to make is that awareness is important. We do have a responsibility to use our voices, but to weaponize awareness like this, hold it over people's heads, it shuts down any type of meaningful conversation and guilt trips others into seeing things the way you want. Look, with regards to content creators, I agree we should be holding them accountable. Since they do have influence, they have a voice. And when you don't use your voice, people notice.
A lot of these people have shown us they do not care about anything other than you clicking on their video and using their creator code at checkout. We have seen some of these creators stay completely silent, while EA has released Broken Pack after Broken Pack and milked the Sims player base to the tune of 100 DLC that cost $1,500. Why are we supposed to be patient with people who clearly do not care?
Look, are there people who are intentionally staying silent to wait out the storm and hope everything calms down? Yeah, probably. And that's not good. We need voices now more than ever. But just because someone hasn't spoken up doesn't mean they don't care. This is...
Yeah, like I said this before, like I said this before, like I already mentioned this earlier, like, yeah, if you're trying to figure out, what's your next steps with the situation because this has put you in a tough time financially and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like I said before, like, give your audience a quick update, letting them know what's going on, saying that you're trying to figure out what's going on. And then once they're ready, be honest with your audience, be honest, like, ask them, hey, would you be willing to support me if I do this content? Would you be able to support my Patreon? Would you be able to support my Ko-Fi, my Buy Me a Coffee, etc., etc.? And if, things don't work out and you're still stuck being a Sims 4 partner, or you have no choice but to continue making Sims 4 content, like, just be honest. And I'm sure your audience would understand and, give you an exception, just communicate with your audience.
Unprecedented times. A huge company like this, a public company, going private, never happened before. So yes.
I disagree. Why? Toys R Us and Joann's, both public companies, purchased by private equity, both got shut down. It's not the first time. It hasn't happened. And plus, a lot of, private equity buyouts in Hollywood, like I mentioned in the previous video. This isn't the first time this happened. This is not the first time this happened.
Let's be accountable, but please, can we have a shred of empathy? And the words he uses, enriching the Saudi government, enabling human rights. What do you say to that? What do you expect a person who plays The Sims to say to that? Yes, they aren't doing themselves any favors by staying silent, but you're not making the environment any better or any safer. And there are some who are promoting their creator codes and staying silent. And that feels insensitive, especially at a time like this. I'm not saying delete your creator code. If someone wants to show support to you and wants to use it, then they should. Plus, that money is a part of how they make a living as a creator. I think that's just honest in saying that. But like I said, speaking up is important. Your voice is the best tool you have. So what I'm trying to say is, let's create a safe enough environment where we can all freely discuss and learn from each other. That's what I believe the Sims community is. So what do we do from here? I don't think we should be shaming people or guilt tripping them into making choices they don't even fully understand yet. No, our next step should be that of discussion. Open, honest discussion, without fear, without trying to one-up each other morally. We can't control who our money goes to, but we can show awareness to the issues at hand. If you choose to boycott, that's completely valid. If you choose to play a game you love and stay aware, That's valid too. There's more than one way to show you care. But his rhetoric really makes it feel like there's no other options. Not Malcom brings up valid concerns, but by golly gosh, he wraps it up in this emotionally loaded language. That doesn't invite dialogue. It shuts it down. It's manipulative, and it pressures people into seeing things only as he does. And I cannot ignore the elephant in the room any longer. This guy has built his entire platform on hate.
Which I don't agree with. Like, this is like the issue that I've had with this video, saying that he's intentionally doing this. He's built his platform on hate and things like that. And I will agree, like, the use of his language in that video and other videos, like, it could be better. Like, he could do what he could, you know, he should listen to these concerns and improve the way he, you know, he brings about his arguments and stuff like that. But the fact that they're making it seem like he's intentionally doing that, especially considering that I've been watching some of his videos, and a lot of his videos is calling out creators and calling out organizations and, you know, indie studios that, you know, have problematic, you know, have been problematic. That's what his the main point of his channel is. Like, he stopped making Sims content and kind of shifted into this style. So like, I don't believe that he's intentionally trying to like start a hate mob, but the fact that this video is making it seem like he is, it's deceptive, because they only react to that one video. They don't react to his other videos that he's made, especially on the videos within talking about the Sims 4 buyout. In that situation, they only respond to that one video, so they're not really addressing, they're only basing their opinions on that one video, when there's a whole catalog of videos that they like this video right here, where, you know, that one, like, they didn't watch that all the way, or maybe they did, but maybe they rewind. Like, a lot of these videos here, they didn't watch. It's not indicating that they're watching it. So I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me to like, for them to like do that.
And especially hate for The Sims. So take this for what it is. Words from someone who hates The Sims to the people who love it. Make like a matching clock.
I'm first and foremost so grateful to my partner Lorenzo for coming on here and feeling comfortable enough to share his thoughts and feelings. He has put so much time into this video, and I am so grateful. I want you all to know and understand, I stand with Simmers, I stand with Sims content creators, and I stand with the EA employees.
Yeah. Okay, so I've taken a tiny bit of issue with that. You stand with the Sims 4 creators, like, yes, like, you know, with the creators that are like caught in the situation, but the creators that, you know, are intentionally misleading their audience and they're not doing anything, I don't feel like you should be standing with them. I feel like you should be calling them out, like, as your partner said, like, those creators that aren't really, you know, saying anything, and they aren't doing anything, and they're not speaking out, you know, like, obviously, don't harass these people, you know, the creators that aren't doing that, because that doesn't make you a better person. But I feel like with you saying that, that you kind of are lumping those types of creators in there, and I feel like that you shouldn't really be doing that. And for the Sims 4 devs, like, honestly, like, I really have sympathy for the leaders in the company. Like, yes, they're not the highest higher ups. They don't make the final decisions when it comes to EA. They're only a part of EA. Like, I have the most sympathy for like the devs who aren't in the you know, in those executive positions, and they're just, you know, coding away at the code and slaving away at the code. Like, yeah, like, stand with them. I don't necessarily stand with the executives, because they make a lot of money already, and they've continuously been making bad decisions with the game. Like, I don't have much sympathy for those, especially like if they ended up you know, being laid off, they have a good, like, being like an executive like in EA, like, and plus they're making a lot of money. I feel like it wouldn't really be hard for them to like find a new job. It's more like the lower devs that I have sympathy for and that I'm really worried about. But not those executives. Like they're good. Like
The hatred, the bullying, the harassment that not Malcolm had.
the fact that he's saying that he's inciting the bullying, the hatred, and the harassment, that's not true. Like, that's not true. And honestly, if he's like, honestly, I can agree that he needs to say he needs to let his audience know, like, to not harass these people. Like, he's not intentionally sending his audience to harass these people. But, like, I will say that he needs to do better at, you know, giving a disclaimer in the beginnings of his videos to not, you know, like how I've been doing, like, not to harass, to witch hunt, to dogs, like, to, you know, send death threats, like, you know, like, he needs to do better at doing that. And also his language is, like, really problematic. And but, like, to say that he's intentionally doing that, I don't think that's true. And I think it's disingenuous for them to be painting him as this, like, this devil. I don't think that's fair. I'm calling them out on that. I don't think that's fair.
Brought to innocent, beautiful souls is not something I condone at all. Looking at the social media posts across all different platforms and seeing the hatred that has come from his video.
Like, honestly, he can't control what his audience is doing, but he has an obligation to, like, call it out and say, I do not support the harassment of like that my viewers are doing to these people. I don't condone this harassment. Please don't harass these people. He needs to do better at mentioning those in his videos. But to say that he's doing it intentionally, I don't think that's true. You know, because even if he says not to harass these people, there's going to be people out there who's just not going to listen to him. But I do feel like it's important for him to say it more often and to make it clear that he doesn't support it. But to put this on him and saying that he's essentially doing that, I don't know. I don't think that's fair.
This isn't my usual type of content, and of course I've brought in somebody different on the page, but I hope this reaches the right people. We will continue to stand together. Simmers, we need to stick together through times like this. We are scared. We don't know what's going to happen. All we can do is continue to educate ourselves and discuss freely and safely. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you on the next one.
Yeah, it's just, I didn't like the way that they decided to go about framing not Malcolm like as this dangerous person. And when I was looking at the comments on my phone, like, I have like the same like problematic behaviors when it comes to, like, you know, with creators, like not looking at the criticism that their comments are getting and only, you know, hearting and interacting with the people who agree with them. And then also, if they do respond to like the criticism, they're calling them like haters. Like, this is like, because this, I've seen that in this comment section. And like, yeah, like with this comment right here, right? This comment says, 𝗏𝗏𝗃 has become a millionaire off of shilling this garbage game. Please stop acting like she's one paycheck away from losing her house. She's fine. She's an adult woman with more money than morals. Now, honestly, with his comments, like, I wouldn't say 𝗏𝗏𝗃 is like a mirror, and they're coming off like quite abrasive in his comments. Like, I will agree, like, this game is fun, but it's broken. Like, I think this is an overreaction, but I don't trust 𝗏𝗏𝗃 because of the actions that she's done. I don't really believe that with her actions in this situation are genuine. Like, I've lost my respect for 𝗏𝗏𝗃, like, for like some time now. So it's like like I could agree, like I don't really trust her actions, and I'm not gonna really go back to like some of these creators that I followed. Like, yeah, they stepped down, but I like given their actions before, like I don't trust that they can really stand on business and do what they preach. With one of the other creators that Malcolm had mentioned, like that I mentioned in my previous video that I mentioned originally, that I followed them originally from their Minecraft content, they stepped down from the creator program. Like they didn't say anything, but they stepped down from the creator program. So I like, yeah, like I appreciated them doing that. I would have appreciated them like giving an update instead of like saying silence and everything, like saying, hey, like I said before. But like the actions that 𝗂𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀 had taken and the actions that 𝗂𝗲𝗰𝗁𝗲 have taken, like I wasn't following 𝗂𝗲𝗰𝗁𝗲, but like I never trusted her before, and I'm definitely not gonna trust her now. Like I lost my trust for 𝗂𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀, so I'm not gonna continue supporting her. But look at the response. There are more creators who live off of their YouTube income. Also, you have no right to speak on behalf of her or her financial situation and commitments. From the sounds of it, you're a Sims hater, so I would have expected anything less. Like, I would agree that the language that this person has used was like kind of abrasive, but I wouldn't. I shouldn't, like the way that she's responding. It doesn't. I don't know. It gives me the ick somewhere, right? Like with not Malcolm, he's already done his research into showing like how much money like some of these big creators, Sims 4 partners are making. Like 𝗂𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀 is well off. Okay, I wouldn't say she's a millionaire, but she has enough money where she did mention in her community post where she stepped down from the creator network that she has a lot of privilege just easily stepping down. So she's acknowledging that she's able to do this without worrying about what's gonna happen to her financially and stuff like that. Like she didn't outright say like the financial part in her post, but she did say she's coming from a place of privilege. And you know, like, yes, I understand. Yes, I agree. Like I mentioned before, there are other creators who rely on their income and they kind of are put in a tight spot. And, you know, but if like they don't necessarily, like if they just play Sims content, but not financially give support to the Sims and then they step down, like even if they still continue playing Sims content, like if people are enjoying that, I don't think their income should change too much. If they're mainly getting their income from YouTube, like if they have to rely on playing the Sims for income purposes and stuff like that, you know, I'm not going to judge them for playing the game. Like they already bought the game, they're already enjoying the game, you know, keep playing it if you keep getting use out of your money, you know, like, and if it's helping you financially, you can still play the game but not give your money to EA, you know, you can still do that. But I really don't like the way that she decided to respond to this comment and everything like that. But yeah, with this comment, okay, this is a questionable video. I'm not saying Malcolm is great or completely right, but this kind of talk is the reason why the sim is still broken. If you don't stop paying EA, the game will never get better. Big creators have been speaking up about the state of the game for years and nothing changed because money was still coming in. It's not at all an unreasonable assumption to make that continuing to financially support while speaking up about the new issues with the buyout will also lead to change. Like, yeah, this comment agrees that, like, you know, yeah, like Malcolm is not a perfect person, but I don't think intentionally putting him, making him seem like he's a bad guy is like not okay. Yeah, like not Malcolm is not the problem. The problem is staying in the EA creative network and continuing to support EA. I don't know, this whole video is kind of rude. To say he's too emotional about human rights is weird. Well, that's because not Malcolm is right and he isn't scared to speak the truth. Can you say that he's manipulating us? isn't that what influencers do, saying pets are great? Like my first pet stuff, that's DLC for DLC, or my wedding stories, that's 100% broken, or manipulating people, then life and death when life and death really, like this person, like I can't read the comment, and they got backlash for not adding cross pack season and stuff. Like, yeah, you essentially I essentially, yeah, you get the gist from that comment. Something I haven't seen anyone mention yet with the iPhone smartphone offer is that we absolutely should be voting with our money in the same way as with EA. You can buy smartphone secondhands, even the latest one. Yeah, I already talked about that. Like I just mentioned that. I haven't bought a new device in years. Getting them secondhand means you're giving money to Apple or whoever else. It's also a lot cheaper, and oftentimes they're in mint condition. It also reduces waste. I don't understand why everybody's dismissing phone, gas, etc. Like we can't also do our best to be ethical in our other aspects of our life. Buy the most sustainable vehicle you can if you have to drive, rather than a huge SUV with poor fuel efficiency. Buy clothes and anything else you can secondhand. Play The Sims 4 if you must, but don't promote it. Don't spend more money on it. It's not the only game in the world, and it's not even the only Sims game. Expand your horizons. People change up their content on YouTube all the time. You can't just learn about something like this and then act like continuing to promote EA is morally fine. Like, yeah, I agree. Yeah, like I understand, like you, like, yeah, some of these like statements, like some of the like statements that are agreeing with this video, like she's replying to, and then like obviously this comments is like stupid. It's like stupid, obviously, but like, you know, like honestly, like these people that are agreeing with her, she's responding to and stuff like that. Like this is again a thing with the phone thing, but like when and stuff like that, but like with the critiques in the video, they're not responding to and stuff like that. So this is another people talking about the phone issue. And this one saying, a comment I read said that you're a new player to The Sims. Maybe that's the reason for your perspective. You haven't been through the years of disappointment and frustration of EA. So this new ownership probably doesn't matter to you much. But Simmers who have spent the years with the game are so frustrated with the shitty DLC and have already stopped playing. But the EA network creators carry on promoting the game, so now we are more annoyed with them and still promoting the game, even though this most likely getting bought by a government who's even more shitty than the game. Yeah, like I don't think the people in this video understand like that this is the straw that broke the camel's back, that people are finally saying, you know, enough is enough. And then this one saying, honestly, your take on this is really disappointing to me. I think one thing to understand is that it's hard to completely be ethical in your consumption, regardless when there's a lot of fingers in the pot and a lot of nuance with the offenses of different companies, figures, and opinion. But this one thing that you can be steadfast in knowing that it's privately owned, it is going towards one real and definite evil, as simmers who tend to engage in indulgent toxic positivity through allowing a company escaped by buggy packs. Like, yeah, you can pause and read the video because like my brain is like melting because like I'm like so worn out from like talking for so long. Like yeah, like I really do not really like the way, like, see, like, how she's hearting, like, another comment. You know, the way that these people decide to, you know, frame Malcolm in this manner, I find it deceptive. I find it disingenuous because, you know, they only react to the one video. They don't touch about the hypocrisy with the J.K. Rowling video and everything like that. So, like, the J.K. Rowling, like, the whole issue with Hogwarts video, like, the point that he made in his previous video, right? They don't touch upon that. So, so I just like I'll link some of these, like I'll link the previous videos that I've said in that I linked in my previous video about the situation, and also the new ones that I said that I'll link. But I said I'm gonna calling this out this creator because, like, yes, the language that Malcolm says and the way that he approaches certain things, like, he needs to do better on that. But to say that he's purposely doing that and that he's insinuating hate is just, that's not true. And the fact that you're putting these false allegations on him, it's not great. And the fact that you're also ignoring the issues that some of these viewers are expressing in this video, and you're only interacting with the ones that, you know, are supporting of you, and also like you're not really being like, the way that you're responding to like some of the more not so nice comments too. It's just, I don't know, the whole thing just gives me the ick, and I'm calling out I'm saying I'm calling out these people because it's not fair. It's not fair for Malcolm. It's not right, you know. And he needs, like, Malcolm does need to address these issues. He needs to speak out and also apologize and acknowledge the mistakes that he's made, both with like the language that he's using in his videos and also the whole situation between him and fake gamer girl. But yeah, like the whole situations between like SatchOnSims and also not Malcolm and everything. Like, I know with SatchOnSims, like, it seems like from what I've read in the comments, like, it seems like he was like a problematic creator for some time now. Like, I've read one comment saying that he said that J.K. Rowling was a TERF. I've seen another comment saying that he doesn't like all of this like woke content and stuff like that. Like, if these people can just like send screenshots or like say which videos he was saying that stuff in, because like I'm gonna call these as alleged because, you know, I never known about this. I haven't seen it in his videos. Maybe he has his Twitter, maybe he's saying this on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever. But like, yeah, like if he's saying those things, that kind of like reinforces the fact that he's, you know, siding with the abusers in this case and is, you know, doing that for self-preservation. But I don't know, like my issues with my main issue with Satch and then the creator with like my main issue with Satch and then my issue with Sim Shadyyy and then a little bit of my issues with Malcolm and just like the whole community at large. There's a lot of harassment and back and forth between creators and between people. There's a lot of excuse making. There's a lot of, you know, victim blaming. There's a lot of dismissing, and it really just shows like what the state, like the true colors. It's really exposing a lot of true colors in this community. Like, instead of, you know, standing together and like standing on business, we're instead just fighting with each other when the solution to the problem is just completely simple. You know, just stop supporting the game. Like, stop enabling EA's greedy business practices. Like, speak out against the buyout. Like, why is this such a hard thing to do? You know, yeah, but that's just something that I wanted to touch on and give my 2 cents on. I know this video is going to be more than 2 hours long. I know. No. I didn't want to have to bring out the scuffed format again, but I wanted to say my opinions and then continue back to making my 3DS video, because like I feel like if I posted that video first and then did this one, it wouldn't make sense. And also it was eating away at me. I just had to get it off my chest. So yeah, enough side quests for me. I'll get back to my main quest. So yeah, but that's it. That's all that I have to say about the situation. Like, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, please don't harass nobody. please stop acting out of comments. Like, there's enough harassment going on in the community right now when we need to be supporting each other and holding each other accountable to, like, just there's just a lot of shit going on. So yeah, just please take care, please be nice, please support each other, please continue to speak out against the buyout, please continue to put pressure on these this company and the practices. And yeah, just be nice, be kind, you know, don't lose your heads. And yeah, I'm gonna go. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, / night, / evening, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you guys in the next video, which hopefully will be the 3DS video, and I won't give myself any more side quests. Yeah. Bye, everyone.